We're focusing on your driver, and the answers you've given us indicate you have what we would call a push, so a shot that starts to the right and then flies reasonably straight. You've also told us that your preference would be to keep the straight ball flight, but learn how to start it down the target line. So your push is caused by an in-to-out swing, which is one where the club head is moving to the right of target through impact. To change the push to a straight shot towards the target, we need to change this swing path, and we need to get the club head travelling more towards the target through impact. And this is the only change you need to make. We know that the club face is reasonably square because when you have a face pointing in the same direction as the club head is travelling, you have a straight ball flight. So we know you have a reasonably square face and you have an in-to-out path. So if we can just bring the club head around so that it moves towards the target through impact, you should have a reasonably straight ball flight but down the target line. So let's start with, we're going to use a stick on the ground. It's going to be used as a reference and it's parallel to our target line. So we've got two things that we'd like to look at on the way down. The first would be, if I pause the swing at where we call the delivery position, which is when the club is around hip height on its way down towards impact, where is the club shaft aligned? So the worrying part would be if we had the club head angled particularly inwards or behind us, because from here, the more excessive this angle, the more likely and the more severely the in-to-out path would be. And from here, it would be very difficult to bring this club back around to straight. It's not impossible, but it's far more difficult. So if we're going to try and neutralize the ball flight, what we'd like to see is a club shaft at this position that's a little bit more neutral. And that would mean it's a little bit closer to being parallel to our target line. So first move, nice and slow, up to the top, bring it down and pause, and try and get the club shaft on top of that stick. Again, up to the top, bring it down, pause, and have the club on top of the stick. It can be slightly to the inside. We just want to avoid it being excessive. Number two would be what we do from here, and this is the crucial bit. So an in-to-out swing has the club approaching from inside the target line, but it continues to the right of target through impact. A neutral swing would approach the target line from inside, as before, but it's going to move around on its arc so that it ends up moving towards the target through impact. And if it's doing that, immediately after impact, the club head will return to the inside. So it's going to be following a neutral arc that takes it towards the target line before impact and away from the target line after impact. The club head moving away from the target line is our key focus. So, setting up a little to the inside of our golf ball, we like to feel the pause first here, and then from here we're going to allow the club to move out as if it's moving towards impact, but then we have to make sure it returns to the inside as it moves into the follow through. So neutral here and reasonably neutral here. If we can get that, we can then add a little bit more flow to it. So again, up to the top, bring it down with a little pause, but from here go all the way through to the finish. And what you'll feel is that the club head is traveling more inward as opposed to up steep. So down and pause, and then swing in away from the target line after impact. Once this feels okay, let's remove the pause. Let's have flow from beginning to end of the swing, not at full speed yet, but definitely a little bit of flow to it. And if your main focus, which is the club head moving inward, seems to be okay, we'll try and hit a shot. So we take our setup, again just rehearse that feeling down, reasonably neutral, have the club moving in, and give it a go.